So, I'm keeping my Kimberly Rock Monitor and my Bearded Dragon together. You can see Bondrude over there. Hopefully, you can see him. Oh, Scar. Hello? What the f is on your skin? We'll inspect that later. So anyway, you might be wondering why I decided to keep them together. Obviously, that's a terrible idea. Should you do it? Is it worth it? If you have any experience with bearded dragons, you probably know it's a terrible idea. So, pretty much why did I do it? I originally started keeping them together mainly because of space issues. So, you might remember Ronnie from the first video when she started to get super small. Bondrude, Kimberly here, is getting huge. This guy's just a bull, man. He was about twice her size, and it got to the point where Ronnie would just kind of hide under a rock, and she'd come out about once a week when there are crickets, snag 2 crickets, go back. She was, you might as well have had a black-headed python in there that she knew about. She was just terrified of him. So I needed to separate them, quite obviously, and I had nowhere to put an extra Kimberly Rock Monitor. So, except for with Toto. Toto, my bearded dragon. Let me take him out for you guys. Let's see at this guy. Yeah, don't worry, Bondrude. I'm not bothering you. So this here is Toto, and yeah, he's an 11-year-old big Australian bearded dragon, as if there's any other type. Now, he's huge. He's massive compared to Bondrude. Bondrude doesn't even compare in size, and he especially didn't compare in size when I put him in here about a year ago. Pretty much, Bondrude was half the size he is now, I think. Honestly, Toto could have just messed him up. His head could have bit about half of Bondrude, probably bitten him in half. There's one reason why I was willing to put him in. It's because Toto's old and senile at this point. He is, he's 11. I never fed him vegetables, and he didn't have UVB for a little while, so he's kind of slowed down. He has UVB right now. They have about 150 watt or 100 watt in there. Keeps him nice and warm, and a UVB bulb. That's what's giving off the light right now. But Toto's so old and senile that he can't even catch crickets, or he'll catch locusts, because I feel like locusts are they don't really try to get away. They just kind of sit there and let themselves get eaten. I was concerned. We kept our eyes on him. I kept him in Brian's room. So Brian always had an eye out for them. Bondrude was pretty, he's pretty cautious at first, and he just started sitting on Toto's head. Toto didn't mind it at all. In fact, actually, I helped Toto out because he's been living alone his entire life. He's kind of been slowing down, kind of looked like he's given up a bit. And then with Bondrude around, kind of got, he wanted to compete. He had to compete for food. He kind of tried to show who's boss. Kind of shoved Bondrude around, and he couldn't really, because he couldn't really catch up with him. But he's holding his own. He got more active. It definitely was a good influence for Toto. Oh, check it out. Bondrude's drinking right now. Let's try to get that on camera. But yeah, there they are together. Yeah, he's just slurping it. He's slurping it. So anyway, Bondrude usually just sits up there, that hide there, and then Toto kind of sits here in the corner. Now, they don't ever really compete for food because I get Toto mealworms, which I'll be doing shortly. And that's basically all you can catch now because he's so slow. And Bondrude, for whatever reason, I don't know why, none of my Kimberleys like mealworms at all. They don't go for him, they don't touch him. You'll kind of look at him, give him a sniff, and that's it. They eat crickets and locusts, and occasionally, boiled egg and chicken hearts and stuff like that. So they don't even compete for food that much, they just kind of hang out. Should you be doing this as well? Should you try cohabbing your bearded dragon with your Kimberly Rock Monitor? Honestly, I'm gonna say no, don't do it. Because if you look at the size difference, look at Toto's head, compared to Bondrude, he could basically get Bondrude and snap him in half if he could catch him. Now he can't catch him, and he has no interest in doing it, thankfully, because he's a sweet boy. But bearded dragons, they are pretty territorial. They, if you keep them in groups, they fight a lot pretty often. I've seen enough bearded dragons at pet stores missing their feet, missing the ends of their tails and stuff to know that bearded dragons are kind of like pit bulls with other animals. Now, I don't really know how aggressive they tend to get with other species. They might not kind of see them the same way. I think it's mainly agamids. I remember I had my basilisk, and then they see each other through the glass. They kind of they'd square off and everything. But he hasn't really done any of that with Bondrude. Just kind of treat him like a little kid, like an old man. What are you doing on my lawn? It's kind of the vibe you get. It's really cute. but it definitely wasn't the same as if there was another gamut in there. That doesn't necessarily mean your bearded dragon, who's probably not as old and senile as Toto, is going to behave the same way. I honestly, unless you have a massive enclosure where they can really get away from each other, nothing like this. This here's like a little, what is this, 4 foot, 120 centimeter by 60 by 60. So it's not very big. They can't, I mean, there's the shelf up there in the corner. Toto can't get to him there. Although if he was older and more nimble, he probably could. Yeah, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't do it if Toto was young and it was in his prime. If they had like an anime-esque fight, Toto would just mess Bondrewd up. Bondrewd doesn't have the jaw strength to even compete with him. Only thing he's got is speed to just like get away. Honestly, I don't know how far that would get him if it was like a prime bearded dragon who's ready to, you know, assert dominance. Again, don't recommend. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna mention that this was like a terrible idea, especially putting in a lizard that was freaking $500 and with and risking a $500 dream lizard just because I couldn't afford probably couldn't afford it, honestly, just because I wasn't willing to, I was too lazy to go get another terrarium. You don't want to pay the electricity bill. But it worked out in this case. It didn't stunt Bondrewd at all. Like that'd be the interesting thing, like how did it affect Bondrewd? Honestly, he's still massive. He grew fast. And he's confident as all hell. He's like, if anything, it made him chattier. You know, he had a little bit of evolutionary pressure on him to be a badass. That is exactly what he is. As far as I mean, compared to other Kimberly Rock stuff, I don't see many. I don't have a lot of comparisons to make. How do I keep him? Feed him about 2-3 times a week. I don't know why, guys. Kimberlys just do not have a huge appetite. They're not Argus monitors. I feed him. He'll eat about 1 or 2 bugs immediately if he's really hungry, and then afterwards he just kind of wait. You know, he just kind of. He'll peck at it occasionally. He won't eat a lot. He's chunky. I can look at his tail right now. It's thick. Give him a spray down about once a week, once every 2 weeks. You know, up that humidity. Make sure to shed him properly and stuff. It's actually bioactive, interestingly enough. This is a bioactive setup. Completely accidentally, I gave them mealworms, not super worms, just like the little ones. Put them in. A bunch got out. And they're breeding there. Like, if you look at the dirt, it's just kind of moving. You can kind of see the mealworms moving around in there. You see the beetles occasionally. That's actually been a huge boom for me. Like I don't want to get rid of it because they clean up all the dung for me. So I don't really need to do any spot cleaning in here. I haven't cleaned this tank in ages. It's totally fine. Mistakes with this terrarium, honestly, is that there's not enough ventilation. I don't think so. It could do with some more ventilation. Crickets seem to get out of it somehow. Really don't know how. Trying to fix it. You can kind of see there's some sticky tape over here. A bit of masking tape to make sure, because I know there's a crack there. I don't know where else it would get up from though. But yeah, it's a great setup. It's the first like proper big terrarium I made. It works fine. It gets the job done. He's not going to stay in here for much longer because you can see some photos here. Basically done with the new setup. Well, the boxes are done. And it's at my glass cutter right now, so they're taking care of the glass parts for me. So yeah, hopefully it's gonna work well and it's gonna be done soon. Then I just need to make the background and everything. So he won't be in here for much longer. We'll see how Toto does then. Honestly, at this point though, it might be better because I've actually seen Bondrewd kind of bullying Toto at this point. Toto's just sitting up on the ledge. Bondrewd's just nudging him with his nose, kind of pushing him around, trying to like push him away. Toto's just letting it happen. And Toto just kind of sits in the corner a little bit. So honestly, I think Bondrewd's kind of won the battle at this point. He's kind of shoving him around. Yeah, might be time to move on. So in conclusion, I'm co-having a monitor and a bearded dragon just for financial reasons. Is it a good idea? No. Your bearded dragon will probably mess up your dwarf monitor unless they have plenty of space and there's not a huge size difference. In my case, there is, because Kimberlys are tiny, especially like they're long, but they don't really have that length. I mean, they don't have that girth. They don't have that strength. They're just like, they're a thin little creature. You know, they're not pit bulls by any means. Bearded dragons are just little tanks. It's kind of like putting a turtle in together with, I don't know, like a little fish or something. There's no comparison. It's like a PSL god were to get into a fight with a roid head. There's no real competition there. Should you do it? No, unless you got one of those giant zoo enclosures. It's like the size of a room. They can really avoid each other. I think there it could probably work fine. Maybe. I've even heard of those not really working out so well. Like in the Budapest Zoo, we had a big enclosure. It had frilled necks, bearded dragons, monitors, blue tongue skinks. Like, I had everything. I think they actually, last time I saw it was basically empty. There was only like one species in there, like shinglebacks or something. And then I talked to some guys who knew the situation. I'm like, they weren't getting along. I'm not sure. I need to confirm that. I could be remembering that wrong. You know, if you want to do this, be careful. Definitely keep an eye out for them for a while. If possible, don't do it. I'm probably going to get some hate online for doing this. Honestly, it's warranted. But it's definitely a fun experiment. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care. Subscribe. Yeah, more to come soon. Hopefully we'll get that terrarium done sooner rather than later.
That doesn't make sense.